And it's Ken Kraetzer for Cam. That's media. A 31-13 win for Army on the road at Protective Field here in Birmingham, Alabama. A game where Army really needed to get off to a good stop, and they made a defensive stop on the first drive by UAB with Casey Larkins nearly intercepting a pass, and a key sack by Cole Seawright forced UAB to try a field goal, and then it was blocked by Jack Boston, a defensive lineman for Army, and that gave Army the ball and some momentum, and they go the length of the field, 18 plays, 74 yards. Coach Monk was talking about that, how important was that drive to get out to a 7-0 lead with a Dawson Jones PAT, and UAB got on the board with their own 90-play drive after a punt had put them back at their own 10-yard line. And Jalen Kitna got a TD pass to Xavier Daisy, 10 yards, and they got the PAT, so it's 7-7. And then Army went on another drive in the second quarter at the end. They had a third down play, which they thought they had a chance on, and it was no good on a pass play. Cale Helms was in for that drive and ended up throwing it long. Then Dawson Jones came in, got a 45-yard field goal, and that ended the first half 10-7. And then the second half, first drive, Dwayne Coleman was in. They had a punt, and then UAB got the ball back, and they missed a 29-yard field goal. I got to see if there was somebody got a hand on the ball, if something happened that led to missing that field goal, or whether it was just wide. Army gets the ball back with Cale Helms in. They were kind of going back and forth today with Dwayne Coleman starting both the first half and the second half, and then Cole Helms going in, and he got a long pass play to Samari Howard, kind of a 41-yard pass and run that set him up. Cale Helms then completed the drive with a 5-yard TD. Dawson Jones PAT, so 9 plays, 80 yards on that one. And then on the kickoff after that, as Coach Munkin was saying, they got a tackle on the runner. I got to check who that was, but Anderson Britton, the kicker, alertly fell on the ball, and they get the ball back, and they go 9 plays, 80 yards. They then have another scoring chance. But again, they had a 4th and 3, and they went to a pass wide set, and it was incomplete. But then they get the ball back again. Gavin Shields gets an interception and brings the ball to the UAB 12-yard line. And Cale Helms gets his second touchdown of the day on a 1-yard run. Jones got a PAT. And then I made it 24-7. And then they get the ball back, and Cale Helms gets his third touchdown of the day. And that was on a short drive, 20 yards. And he completes it with a 5-yard rush. UAB put in their quarterback, Burton, who finished the last drive and got a touchdown, and UAB missed the extra point. So it's a final 31-13, much needed win for Army. Coach Munkin said they were desperate to get a win. This puts them in a good position going into the home game next week against Charlotte, and then sets them up well for the game at Tulane, which is going to be a tough one down New Orleans in a couple of weeks. And then obviously you got the Air Force game coming up out in Colorado Springs. So it's really where they can make their season a successful one, and to be a factor again in the American Conference. I got rid of the word the athletic in the conference name. I actually just found out. So it is the American Conference, so they avoid the initials confusion. So great to be here. Beautiful stadium here. It's about 40,000 seats, 5 years old. Well, I'm going to go over to Legion Field So watch on Twitter. I might have some pictures of it later. And so just looking at a couple of stats on the game. For Army, Kel Helms ran for 81 yards. Hayden Reed had a big day, a touchdown, and 54 yards. Of course, Kel Helms had the 3 touchdowns. Noah Short, 54. Carson Smith had 6 carries for 29 yards today. David Clark, 1 carry for 10. Kel Helms, 1 of 3 passing, 41 yards. Dwayne Coleman, 1 of 1 for 7 yards, sacked once. Army's, passing the last couple weeks has been a little bit under where they'd like it to be. I think they'd always want to get 100 yards passing, but when you win, as we know with Army football, it's all about just running the ball until the defense can stop it. Receiving, talked to Samari Howard. He had 2 catches for 48, including the 1 41-yarder that set up the first second half touchdown. And James Wackenseller punting 4 times today for average of 43 yards. And I want to just cover the defense for you for a minute. Of course, led by Colin Madison, had 7 tackles on the day. Andon Thomas always has a big game, 5. Baylor Newsome had 4. Gavin Shields had 3. And Noah Nixon had 3. Of course, Gavin Shields had the interception. He ran back for 21 yards, set up a touchdown. Nicole Seawright had that incredibly important sack in the first quarter that forced a field goal attempt by UAB, which was blocked, and kept them off the scoreboard, let Army go out to a 7-0 lead. So, satisfying win. Winning on the road's never easy. And so Army has now got their season back on track. I know it's almost a sellout next week for the Charlotte game, so it should be a lot of fun, and we'll see everybody there. One thing that was notable is because of the government shutdown, Army and West Point was limited in who they could send outside of the team and team personnel, and so the Spirit Band, which is normally at these games, couldn't make it, and only a handful. I think there were about 6 or 8 of the rabble-rousers, as they're known at West Point, were able to make the trip. So that's talked a little bit with Superintendent Steve Gillen and the athletic director Theo a little bit about it. They have to be really careful about what they can spend money on and who works for the academy. Of course, the athletic department is its own independent 501c3, so it's largely insulated from this government shutdown. But home game next week maybe a little more challenging. But maybe the government shutdown will be over by then. We can only hope. So a big win for Army on the road down here at Protective Field in Birmingham, Alabama. Thanks for watching. That's Ken Kraetzer for Cam Cadets Media. We cover cadets, midship, and the military and veterans proudly since 2008. Thanks for watching.